Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hello everyone. Hi, my name is Anupriya, and today students we are going to start chapter number 13, and the chapter's name is Electoral Politics in a Democracy. Now before starting the chapter students, let's have a brief review of what we are going to understand in the chapter. Now as you can see the name of this chapter, it talks about the electoral politics. It means that we are going to understand about the importance of elections in a democratic government. You are also aware of the term that is democracy. We are also going to talk about the voters list. We are going to talk about the reserved constituencies. We are going to talk about the nomination criteria in any elections. We are going to understand about the importance of elections in a democratic government definitely, right? So as you know that our first topic here is elections. You are aware of the term that is democracy. Now in any democratic government, we all know that people have the supreme power to elect their representatives. Now when I am saying the term elect, it definitely relates to the term that is election, correct? So here students, we need to understand that elections, they form the basis in any democratic government. Without elections, do you think that a democratic government is possible? We can call a government democratic without elections there? Obviously not, right? So therefore, we know that in any democracy, elections, they are really important because it is the only way through which people, they are going to elect their representatives. And these elected representatives, they are going to rule or they are going to govern or they are going to make laws, and also keeping in mind the aspirations, the ideas of the common people who have elected them. Correct or not? Yes. So here let us try to understand what are the importance of elections here in any democratic form of government. Now democracy, it is for the people, of the people and by the people, right? So India has an electorate of 814.5 million and it is the largest democracy in the world. By now you know that India is the largest democracy in the world, right? Our country represents the largest democracy across the world, and also we have an electorate of 814.5 million people. Now when I am saying electorate, what do we understand by this term that is electorate? The term electorate, it means that all the people who are entitled to vote in an election. So here when we see the figures, we see that almost 814.5 million people in our country, they are eligible to vote. They are entitled to vote or elect their representatives who are going to rule on behalf of these common people. Definitely India is a representative democracy. We have learnt about these terms earlier. You know, these terms are not new for you. When we are saying that India is a representative democracy, what does that mean? Right now, I just told you that democracy or a government, when we are defining democracy, it means that people have the supreme power to elect their representative. The term representative itself denotes the whole idea of representative democracy here. It means that people who are going to be elected, they are our representative. Not everyone in our country can rule. Now imagine a situation that we are living in a country with around 1.33 billion population, right? So here, is it possible for everyone to rule? No. So therefore, we have to elect our representatives. We have to elect some people who are going to rule on behalf of us. So therefore, we call India as a representative democracy. Elections become an integral part of our political system. Isn't it correct? It is only through elections that people can elect their representatives. Right, students? Now, if there were no elections, how can you call that kind of government a democratic government? When people, they do not have the power, the supreme power to elect their representatives. So, this is the only means through which people can elect and people can vote. right? They are entitled to vote, and therefore elections they become the integral part of our political system. So these are not new terms for you. You already have learned these terms. You have heard about these terms. Here you just have to understand why elections are important in our country or anywhere else where we have democratic kind of government. Now, from panchayats to the union government, all political institutions, they function through elected representatives. We have also learned about the 3 tiers of government. We have at the central level, at the state level, when we are talking about the village level, the panchayat system, we have learned about all the 3 tiers as well, right? So when we are talking about the panchayats, where do we see the panchayat students? Definitely at the village level, right? Now, when we are talking about the union government, what does that mean? The union government here, it means that we are talking about the national government, the central government, right? So all these political institutions, they are functioning through these elected representatives, the representatives that we are choosing, the common people who are entitled to vote. Now these representatives, they are called panch or councillor. Now when we are talking at panchayat level, so all these elected representatives, what is the term that is given to them? The term is panch. We also have the sarpanch, right? We also call at urban level, we have the term that is councillors. At state level, people elect MLAs, and at national level, we have MPs. Now, do you know the meaning of this term that is MLA? Do you know the meaning of the term that is MP? If not, let me elaborate here. Now, when we are talking about the state level, the elected representatives, they are called as members of Legislative Assembly. And when we are talking about the national level, when we are talking about the central level, we have MPs. Now, what do we understand by MP here? It means that we are talking about the member of parliament. Now, have you heard the term parliament? Yes, you must have read somewhere, you must have watched on TV, you must have heard about Lok Sabha, must have heard about the Raj Sabha. So, all the members there in the Lok Sabha and the Raj Sabha at the national level, they are known as MPs. It means that they are the members of the parliament. When we are talking about the state level, we have legislative assemblies. We have Vidhan Sabha. Okay. So these are some of the terms that you have to keep in mind here. Also, we vote these representatives through elections, right? You also have heard the term elections a lot of times. Here you are going to understand the meaning of elections. You are going to understand the importance of elections. Now, you must have seen your mother and father. Since you are a kid right now, there is a certain age after which you are entitled to vote, right? So, all adults who are above or 18 years of age have the right to vote in our own country. Before it was 21, but right now 18 years, correct? So, when you will be 18 years or more than that, you will have the right to vote. But before that, you are a kid, right? You are young adults, but you are not entitled to vote. So you must have seen your parents going on the election day to vote or elect for their representatives. You might ask them that how does this mechanism work, right? So that you can easily understand here. But here let us try to understand through these points that is given here in your book, okay? So we are voting these representatives, the elected representatives through elections. Now in an election, voters can choose. Now, what are the criteria here? How can these voters, the people who are entitled to vote, how can they choose for their representatives? Let us try to see all these points one by one. So, the party that would make policies and guide the government in lawmaking. Now, we all know that people have the supreme power to vote for their representatives, correct? Now, when we are talking about these representatives, they have certain responsibilities, right, for the people who are voting them. So what are the criteria in the mind of the voters who are going on the election day to vote for their representatives? So they will definitely look for a party who is making the policies, and also they are going to guide the government in lawmaking. As in, it should be positive for the people, right? It should be in benefit for the people who are voting for them. Apart from that, they will choose the people who will make laws for them. Definitely, students. Now, anytime you can watch, there are certain channels like such as the Lok Sabha, then Raj Sabha TV. So you will see that all the members of parliament that we have already learnt about, these people, they are debating on various laws. Who are these people who are making these laws? These are the members of parliaments, the MLAs, right, at state level. So these representatives whom we are choosing, they are responsible for making new policies. They are responsible for making new laws, right? So definitely people will choose those representatives who are going to make good laws, right? For the people, for the benefit of the people, the common people that we are talking about. They will also choose the people who will sit in government and take major decisions. Do you think that anyone will be in favor of a reckless leader? A person who is not able to make good decisions, who is not able to take major decisions on the behalf of the country if there is a situation of crisis? Definitely not. So therefore, people are going to look for a good leader, a leader who can lead them, a leader who can make good policies, a leader who can make good laws, and everything should be in benefit for the people, for the betterment of the common people. So these are some of the criteria on the basis of which the common people, the voters, they can choose their representatives. As you can see, this is an image just to show you the election day, right? So this is an image where you can see women, they are standing in line for their own way through which they can go inside and vote in the on the election day, right? So they have their identity proof. As you can see in their hands, they have the identity proof, right? The Aadhaar card or any identity proof. We also have the voter's card. So these identity proofs, they have to show that they are going to vote on this election day. Okay, you can also ask your parents about how they go and vote on the election day. What is the whole mechanism, the whole process of this election. Apart from this, students, now when we are talking about elections, so right now you're reading this chapter, in practical sense, you can definitely, whenever in your own particular state, if you have the time when elections are taking place, you can definitely see on TVs that various parties, they are competing against each other. So when we are talking about election, do you think that only one party is competing? No. When we are talking about a democratic kind of government, it means that multi-party system is there, right? So various parties, they are competing against each other for power, right, students? Here when we are talking about our own country, you might be knowing so many names. You might be knowing various parties of your own state. At national level, you might be knowing different parties such as BJP. You must have heard about the Congress party, right? You must have heard about many other parties in South, AIDMK, right? You must have heard about the parties in Uttar Pradesh, Samajwadi Party, Janata Dal United. There are so many parties in our country. And all these parties, they are competing against each other, whether we are talking about at national level or whether we are talking about at state level. So here when we are talking about the first point, that is elections lead to political competition. What does this mean? It means that whenever we are talking about elections, various political parties, they are coming together and competing against each other. Now, is it good or is it bad? Definitely it's good, because we have a choice of choosing our representatives. We can weigh the consequences here, weigh the pros and cons of each and every party, of all the leaders who are participating in elections, right? So it leads to political competition when various political parties, they come together, they are participating, they have nominated their names, and also they are fighting in elections against each other. Now here we are talking at national level, here we are talking at state level. In fact, when we are talking about the panchayats also, we see there the political competition, it exists there, okay? It also involves the competition among various ideologies and policies of different political parties. Yes, students. Now, when we are talking about different political parties, now you must have, right now I just gave you a few examples like Bharatiya Janata Party, that is the current party in power in our country, right? With our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. We have the opposition parties such as Samajwadi Party, we have Congress Party, right? We also have other parties such as in Assam we have TMC, right, Trinamool Congress. We also have different parties in southern India, and also we look at these parties and we see that they have different ideologies, right? They have certain beliefs and they are totally different from each other. So here when we are talking about the political competition, it definitely involves the competition among various ideologies. When we are talking about BJP, they have certain ideologies, talking about Hinduism, right? When we are talking about Congress, they have certain ideologies for their own people, right? Their own mantras that they try to show in their elections whenever we are talking about the election time, right? So during those phase, they are talking about their beliefs, the ideologies for the common people. So all these political parties having different ideologies, we see that it also involves the competition among these ideologies, the policies, right? So this is the second point that you have to remember, that each and every political party, they have their own ideologies. And this is the competition not only between these political parties, but also between their ideologies. Because the common people, when they are a supporter of particular party, they believe in their ideologies. When we are talking about BJP, they are affiliated to certain ideology of RSS as well, right? So you must have heard about the term Rashtriya Samaj Sevak and all certain terms. When we are talking about Congress, they have certain other ideologies, right? Talking about their own agenda in winning the elections. So here you have to understand this term about ideologies and how it differs. So all these political parties, they do not have same ideology. They differ in their ideologies. They differ in their beliefs. This is a point that we must remember here. Now at the level of constituency, it takes the form of competition among various candidates. Now have you heard the term constituency? If not, let us try to understand the term that is constituency. Here the term constituency, it means that group of voters in a specified area who elect a representative to a legislative body. Yes, students. Now here we will understand the term constituency in detail. Do not worry about that. When we are talking about the constituency later on, we will learn about that as well. There is a separate topic also for that. Here you just have to understand that in a defined area, in a specified area, when we have a group of voters who are electing their representatives to a legislative body. So in our country, here we see that almost there are 543 constituencies, right? I am going to show you through that map. So here we will learn about constituency later on. Just I am giving you the definition so that you can note it down, that in any specified boundary, in any specified area, when the group of voters, they are electing their representatives to a legislative body. So this area, it is known as constituency. So a person is being elected from that particular constituency. In India, we have around 543 constituencies. Okay. Now it takes a form of competition among various candidates there as well. Because from each and every constituency, there is one member who is going to get elected. Okay. So we have to understand this point as well. Apart from this, elections also make people aware of national problems. Now students, what are the basis on which people are going to elect their leaders? They are going to look at the works that they have done. Am I correct or not here? So whenever, let's say, taking the example of Bharatiya Janata Party, that is the power, that is the current government in power. Am I right? Yes. So when we are looking at the work done by the Congress Party or Bharatiya Janata Party in the past, people are going to look at what are the advantages, right, for the people themselves, at ground level, what are the works that have been done by these parties, these leaders who are in these parties, right, affiliated to these parties. So definitely they are going to look at these problems that they are facing and how these leaders who are affiliated to BJP or Congress or any other party, right, major national parties, so how they have done, for what work they have done for the betterment of the people. These are some of the points that they are going to keep in mind. When we are talking about the national problems in our country, what are the national problems that you can think of that it's the big issue here? If you watch TV, you can learn about some of the national problems when we are talking about unemployment, we are talking about illiteracy, we are talking about economy of our country, we are talking about how we are doing in when we are talking about at international level, right, foreign affairs. If we are talking about our own problems at ground level, people, they are dying of hunger, right? People, they do not have enough money. People, they do not have jobs. So these are some of the national problems, and these are some of the issues that people are going to address, and also see that their leaders, they are going to address these issues in their election manifestos. Am I correct here? Yes. So when we are talking about these national problems, it means that people have certain criteria according to which they are going to vote for their leaders. The leaders who have done something related to these national issues, national problems that I have talked of right now. So definitely elections make people aware of these national problems, and based on this, people are electing for their leaders, for the leaders who have done something related to these national issues, right? So these are some of the basic points that you have to understand when we are talking about the importance of elections, making people aware of all the points, right?